Hello there, everybody. Welcome to episode 92 of the Play to Win podcast, the show we break down the week's biggest gaming news through in-depth discussion. I'm your host this week, Tyler. And of course, I am joined by my awesome, super cool co-host over here, Tyler, as well. What's going on, dude? It's been a good week. Sorry about the Cowboys, but other than that, it's been a good week, right?
Yeah, it's been a good week. You didn't have to bring it up again. No, I'm just messing with you. But yeah, it's been a great week. Other than that, because it's been focused around just like really good media, just like whenever you're just like absolutely digging in through great things. We'll get to the game, but also as I mentioned, been watching Better Call Saul, like binging that, like already on the third season, just started Monday. We're tearing into it.
Wow.
I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan. Showed my girlfriend Breaking Bad. She never watched it, obviously heard of it, never watched it. We watched it together again. Great, obviously huge fans. It's just one of those things. I'd watch like part of the first episode when it first came out and was bored. And I was just like, what was I doing? Because it's so good.
I have actually not finished Breaking Bad. And you wonder what makes it so bad for me? Here's the thing. I started Breaking Bad. I started it when I was in college, right? I think I was in college when I started watching the show. So let's say 2016 is when I started watching it, right?
Oh, yeah, pretty shortly after it ends, I think. Yeah.
I think it was somewhere between 2016 and 2018. I was done with college in 2017. So sometime between 2016 and 2018, I started Breaking Bad, right? And I made it to the end of season 2, right? No. I made it all the way through season 2, and then I made it partway through season 3. I think I got to the end of season 3, like I think the second to last episode or something. Whatever episode it ends where Jesse goes up to where Jesse basically finds out who it was that put the hit on his friend, or took out his friend.
Okay.
That episode was like the last one I had watched. Then I meant to continue, and I had like just ended up getting caught up with other stuff, right? Did not continue for years, but I remembered exactly what happened and where I was. So then I think 2 years ago, during the pandemic and the panini, I said, you know what? Let me continue. And I watched the final episode of season 3 and have not continued since. This has been an ongoing saga with me. I know. And the thing is, it's like, I like the show. I want to finish it, but I just have not. It's like, I don't know why.
Pull the trigger. Just do it. It's so good.
That's the thing. I might, at this point, I don't know if I want to just restart the entire thing.
That's probably what you should do.
Yes. I might just do that. That way I could actually have it all fresh in my head, as opposed to like having 5-year time span of remembrance of the first 3 seasons.
It is funny though. I feel like 90% of the things, it's like, if we didn't do it during the panty, during peak panty, we were just like, it's never happening again. You didn't do it during the pandemic, you're not doing it. Just admit that to yourself. But
yeah, the panorama was the best time for me to go ahead and watch this show, and I did it. I spent that time.
It's just funny because I don't feel like I actually got through that many things that I had never seen.
Yeah. The pandemic, that was my time. It was like, all right, Final Fantasy 7 remake, bam, Persona 5, bam, Last of Us, bam, Ghost of Tsushima, bam, Animal Crossing, bam, like just all of them back to back to back.
You're cranking out games like I did this week. Speaking of one that literally we didn't know existed last week.
Right, man, this was a good week for games. Really good week for games. So we're going to talk about that because, this is the Play to Win podcast. Subscribe if you're on podcast services and on YouTube as well, and hit the notification bell on YouTube so as soon as episodes go live. This week, we had the Xbox Developer Direct happen, the very first one, and I think they knocked it out the park for the most part. Like overall, solid first showing for this. We're also going to talk about the future of Uncharted and the potential future of The Last of Us. And then we got some Far Cry rumors that made the rounds this week on the internet that somewhat interesting. Could be an interesting discussion to come out of it. Yeah, that's the game plan for this episode. Also talk a little bit about some new games that came out, and then we're going to talk about Doki Doki Literature Club Plus at the end of this episode. I will say right now, that will be a spoiler-full discussion, okay? No dancing on spoilers. So when we get to the end of the episode, talking about what we've been playing, if you don't want to hear spoilers, by all means, that is your cue.
Also, side note, if anyone, if people haven't fully understood our personalities by now, it is genuinely hilarious that you had not played this game up until now, and I had.
I had always heard many good things about it, and it had been in the back of my mind. I was interested in it. But this year, I was like, you know what? I want to make it happen, and I made it happen.
The physical edition is what got me.
Oh, with the stickers and stuff.
I like physical editions.
That's true. That's true. Well, let's talk about Xbox though. Let's start it off with them. The
The
Xbox
enemy of
Developer
physical
Direct.
media. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, the one of the games they dropped today. I don't know if it's getting a physical, but I would like it
I,
to.
as
It
someone that has
better.
gushed about it, you know how I feel about it. Like I'm legit worried we're not gonna get a physical release of that game.
Oh man, but the developer direct. Tyler, what going into this? What were you thinking? What were you hoping it was going to end up being? Because we knew that Redfall, Minecraft Legends, Forza, and Elder Scrolls Online were going to be here. They said we're going to, going to go into the studios. We're going to be talking to developers, seeing gameplay. There's not going to be any hosts. There's not going to be any idle chit chat or whatnot. It's just going to be, 40 minutes of, good showing stuff. What were you thinking going in? What were you hoping? How did you feel after seeing it?
So to be real, there was no like excitement or anticipation for me. I kind of took it on its face. I hadn't seen the leak supposedly that just said the name of what it was eventually Hi-Fi Rush. So I'm just thinking it is what it is. Gameplay for these things. Personally, I was like, I basically thought about the way I ended up doing, which is like I'll just watch the games afterwards because like the timing of it. Like I work overnight, so I was like, I'm probably just gonna end up being asleep when it happens, anyways. So it wasn't like a big concern for me to be like, I need to watch it as it happens. It's not E3. It seemed like it's very, they were straightforward and transparent, which I appreciate. Outside of the one shadow drop, which I get it, you want excitement, not holding that against them.
Yeah.
So my expectations, I think, were proper, but I don't know. I see a lot of people saying they knocked it out of the park. I have a take. Turn on the TikTok camera. No, I'm just kidding.
So
I don't know. I think Hi-Fi Rush kind of just saved this, right?
I think yes, it did in terms of games, but I think there's more to it than just that. I think, going into it, I was thinking that, okay, like you said, straightforward, these 4 games, we're going to be seeing looks at the games. We should definitely be getting release dates or release information for these. I mean, I could care less about Elder Scrolls Online. I don't play it. I imagine the majority of the Xbox audience probably does not care too much about Elder Scrolls Online, but whatever. Yeah. It's there. Cool. But,
Forza, that's also a money laundering scam.
It's just
3 people play that game, but they're just
right.
The cartel's funneling money through Bethesda, just say these are your numbers.
But I think that the ones that people were most curious about in terms of release date information, just information period, were Redfall and Forza. And we got solid concrete info about Redfall, a little bit more vague for Forza, but still just getting a release window, which was good enough. So I was thinking, all right, it should be good at least. I was more so just worried about, I guess, the format and how it was going to flow and feel and everything. And in that regard, I think they knocked it out of the park in terms of how it was structured, how what we saw from each of the teams, how each of the teams talked about their games and all. I think in that regard, they knocked it out the park. We'll talk about all of that though at the end. Let's break this down, go through each game one by one. First up, let's talk Redfall. Redfall, it wasn't the first game they showed, but I do want to talk about it first. Redfall, for those.
I was going to say it's the only game other than Hi-Fi Rush people care about.
not.
I'm just kidding, Forza people, but I mean, like, come on.
I was about to say you're about to have all the Xbox people coming after you in their race cars, just like
nobody cares about Forza or Minecraft Legends. God, and I've already established how I feel about Elder Scrolls Online.
But no, Redfall. For those, again, if you don't know or if you want a refresher, Redfall is coming from Arcane Austin, I believe. This is Arcane Studios overall. They're the teams behind Dishonored, behind Deathloop, behind Prey. Redfall over here. It's a 4-player, single player or co-op game where you're in Redfall, Massachusetts. It's been taken over by vampires, and you're trying to kill the vampires. Open world and all like that. So that's kind of all we've known so far. We've seen bits of gameplay every so often, but it's been a while since we've seen this game. We still didn't know when it was supposed to come out, but all we knew was by June of this year, it should be coming out. So we got the official release date. Redfall releases on May 2nd, 2023, as the leak said about a week or two ago. And the footage we saw, it was we saw more gameplay. They showed off some new enemies, showed off an enemy that's like called the Rook that gets sensed by the vampire gods when you kill certain vampires in the world. They showed off some missions, like you have safe houses around Redfall where you go there and you could talk with other survivors. You get side quests from them. You have your main storyline, your main quest, and everything. There is loot in this game. We kind of saw a bit of the loot going on. We saw some of the skill trees that you can progress your characters through and everything like that. And I think it was a good look at the game. It gave a better look, an idea as to okay, what type of game Redfall actually is, what we can expect from playing Redfall. Even still, though, I'm not 100% in on it. I'm like 75% in. And I'll be honest, part of that is because I feel like it's going to be a game where, yes, you could play it solo, but if you're not playing it co-op, you're losing like a whole lot. Yeah, it's not going to be as fun. You're losing a whole lot from the experience. And I'm one where I know I'll probably end up playing it solo. I probably wouldn't play it co-op at all. So automatically, like my excitement level is, I'll see. But like,
I also have an Xbox. We can run it.
Maybe we will. Maybe we can see if we can get Karen on it because he's a slut for vampires. He would say that himself too. So vampires, he's in on it. So 3 people right there. But like automatically because of that, my excitement level's a bit down. But I can still be interested in the game. But I don't know, just everything we've seen, it's like something about it just hasn't really triggered my hype. That's like aside from the co-op thing. I'm not sure what it is, but
it's because it's like just Vampire Left 4 Dead, man. Like I don't get why people are like so hesitant to just say this. Like, well, I mean, lots of people have stated Left 4 Dead influences, but like this is literally just Vampire Left 4 Dead with some immersive sim stuff. Nothing against Arcane. They're awesome at what they do. They do the immersive sim genre very well. And I'm sure this will have some twists as far as that goes, but I don't think there's going to be a big gotcha moment. I think this is like a refined taste thing. You either get it, you have the palate for it, or you don't. And I think a lot of people, I think the like discourse on Xbox feels like it's so often it hinges on this next game that some people just like are hesitant to be like Redfall is just not for them. And that's okay if it's not. Like I think this isn't like it appeals to everyone game because its multiplayer focus isn't the way that a lot of broad appeal multiplayer games are. This could just be another case between the release date, 10 days away from Zelda, because we were talking pre-show about May.
I forgot about
this. Yeah.
I did not even think about that.
10 days pre-Zelda, a month pre-E3, which I mean, I know that doesn't technically matter, but it does feel like Xbox could have maybe potentially put it out in June but they have Diablo, so maybe they're just like, you know what I mean?
Well, they don't have Diablo. I don't know. Activision Blizzard has Diablo. They don't have Activision Blizzard.
I know, but like they're releasing that stuff as though it's there. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but so they've got, I just think it's one of those things where this could be another situation where they don't, like, people say it's good, but they don't really get their flowers in a cultural way kind of moment. The way we have seen with kind of other niche studios, such as, well, originally niche, but like From Software. And I don't want to say like Arcane Austin's like niche, but it does like, it has that like indie band that's made it mainstream, but not super mainstream. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like you could say that Arcane hit that mainstream thing with this, not Dishonored, with
their biggest, with Deathloop.
Yeah, I would say Deathloop was the moment for them for the most part, I would say. Because, I mean, you had Dishonored and Dishonored 2. People liked them a whole lot. But, they're stealth games. Yeah. They're not really, something what you would call really mainstream too much. And then you had Prey, which was really immersive sim. And then it was just like, wait, this is so-called Prey, but it's not the Prey from before and everything. And I actually didn't really like Prey. I played it for like 2 hours. I was like,
I didn't play it. My fun story about Prey is I went over to a friend's house for E3 that year. I called the Prey drop, but I genuinely believed it would be Prey 2 brought back to life. So needless to say, I was a little bummed. Immersive sims aren't super my thing, although I did buy Dishonored. I found it at a Goodwill. Never played Dishonored. Got that for like $3.
It's a good game
this week. So yeah, that was like kind of a moment, but also I don't know what the sales numbers were. I think it was in this weird ground where it was PS5 exclusive, but we all knew Xbox owned at that point had, purchased Bethesda. And then on top of that, like, I don't know, we can say that Keeleys don't matter, but I think for some point of cultural touchstone and like clout and reference, they do. And it got punked by, I think, I haven't even finished Deathloop, but I will just say like a better game for sure. I think Deathloop was a better game and it got punked by an inferior game. No offense to Joseph Fares. You seem cool, but like a little out there. And also, I don't think your game was that great. But it just seems like it came up short. You know what I mean? Whereas it felt like, I'm sure they want their Elden Ring moment. They want that, like, okay, everybody gets it now. Like, this is a cultural moment. Maybe not quite Elden Ring size. I think that's
I get what you're
tough
saying,
ask,
though.
but
yeah, I get what you're saying, where it's like, oh, like we're no longer just the studio that fans of us are aware of and really like, and people in a certain ecosystem know of and appreciate and really like, but now everyone understands and appreciates and really likes, just across the board, inside our ecosystem, outside the ecosystem, bringing people into the ecosystem. I mean, I feel like Deathloop did that, or if it didn't do it, I would say it did that, like just full stop. But I could also understand the argument of it was like that half step towards getting there all the way, and like this is maybe the next step, the next half step to get there all the way, if it lands, successfully.
I'd have to look at sales numbers, but I would argue Dishonored was just as big as Deathloop. Like,
maybe
Dishonored, I almost think it's like a case of like your biggest hit being your first hit. But it wasn't big enough to put you in this stratosphere. So you're known, but like you feel like maybe you're not as successful as you'd like to be. I don't know. I don't know the internet machinations of their minds, but it just feels like to me they haven't hit that next level that I'm sure they want to. And I don't think Redfall will do it. Good, bad, maybe they don't give a shit about that at all. I'm not pretending to know them, but I don't think it's going to be some massive hit because I don't think it's multiplayer gotcha game enough to just like get everyone going. And I don't think it's a little too multiplayer for some people, like if we don't end up playing it or you don't have someone to play it, like I'll play it solo. But yeah, ultimately, if that doesn't happen, because I don't really have a ton of Xbox people in my life, but that will affect our playthrough and that'll probably affect our overall feelings. And it's not our fault. It's not the game's fault. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? It's probably not winning any GOTYs, but it doesn't matter because Microsoft released a GOTY contender this week.
Yeah, I hope that playing it solo is at least as enjoyable as playing a game like Borderlands solo. Like I've played all the Borderlands games solo and had a blast doing it. I didn't feel like I was missing anything or I feel like the game was lacking for it. So hopefully Redfall is similar to it. And I hope that I just hope it's a good game. I hope it actually beats the allegations of like, I'm still not sure.
I think it will be good. Just to clarify too, I think it'll be fine. It looked fine. It looked solid. My guess when you're talking about here, this is going to be solo wise to me, probably somewhere between like not as accessible as Borderlands in terms of quality, but as far as like just solo runs, but not quite as like alienating as Left 4 Dead. Like I'm sure they're where it's got to be more welcoming to single players than Left 4 Dead, but I don't know if it'll quite hit that. Like Borderlands, if you play it solo, I think you told no one that there was a co-op mode, I think people would be like, oh yeah, and they wouldn't assume any different of it.
Yeah. Let's talk about Minecraft Legends now. We've known about this game for a bit. It's more of an RTS strategy game in the Minecraft franchise. We got an official release date for it, April 18th. I'm not an RTS person. I'm not a strategy game person in the slightest bit. So I've been out on this from the moment it was announced, but I can appreciate how good it looks. It look like it is a really good game. It looks like it could be a good game. It looks like it's really well made and stuff like that. It looks like it'll be like baby's first RTS for some people, but also like an actual RTS that has depth to it for fans that are like have been in the genre for quite some time. And watching the PvP gameplay reveal and just hearing everything they talked about with it and watching it, I was like, hey, I'm not gonna play this game, but this actually looks like it's fun. This looks like it could be quite a bit of fun right here.
I'll be real with you. I've not watched a second of this. I saw the box art because Wario64 tweeted about it, and I was like, oh, yeah, nice box art. I'm not a Minecraft person, not a strategy person. you'd like to think you have an open mind, but there are some games you can absolutely with certainty probably say, I will never play this. Like on the off
Yeah.
chance I ever got into Minecraft, probably also not happening. But on the off chance, I don't think any part of me would be like, let's go play that tower or not tower defense. Because tower defense is actually fun. Defensive strategy people, I'm just not that smart. There's no part of me that would be like, let's go play that strategy game. Because for me,
But
from the perspective of
question. Hold on. You said there's no way you'd be like, let's go play a strategy game. What if it was a Bloodborne strategy game?
not happening.
Okay, I thought Bloodborne would be the thing to be like, actually,
No,
you know what?
that's how committed it. If I got so here's my perspective. If I got into strategy games, I'd want like, well, just give me the best of the best. Like I'd want to go play StarCraft, and that's never happening. So, but if it happened, that's how it would happen.
Got it. Got it. I see. No, yeah. Minecraft Legends, I mean, looks cool. Coming April 18th. So we now know what the Microsoft's big game is for April. We know what it is for May as well. And also, I feel like many people said this after the Redfall release date was announced. And some people even said it before that like Starfield probably isn't coming out in June. Yeah, Starfield is not coming out in June. No way. Not a chance
You
that
don't think
game
so?
is coming out. No, I don't think so. Because as you said, although Diablo 4 is not theirs, they're like heavily associated themselves with Diablo 4. And I doubt that they'd want to put that game out the same month as Diablo 4. And I just like maybe if it
You're
like
getting
I'm also going
cold.
by what I'm also going by what they said at E3 last year. We're like, yeah, everything's coming out within the next 12 months. So if we're being going real strict 365 days on that, that means by what, June 12th? This game is not coming out in the first 12 days of June. Starfield is not coming out the first 12 days of June. Like it would have to be after
I
that.
think it could
So
happen.
no, I don't
I
think so. Because I'm like, when are we going to see it next? We still have, they said they're going to have their own showcase for it. Okay, cool. That would be what, maybe February or March. It would have to be February or March if it's coming out in like June, if it is. And I don't see it could. I guess think it could still happen in February or March, but I don't think that they're going to try and push it or rush it for June. Like again, this is the next big IP from
I
Bethesda and big RPG. Let that game come out when it's ready. Don't rush it just to
as the
say it's out now.
as the leading person that will be absolutely cackling at any and all Starfield delays, I still think by June 12th is on the table. I think we saw whether it's good, bad, however you want to view the overall strategy. I mean, we saw today, I think Microsoft kind of threw, like, I know it's a different game, or not today, but as we saw this week, Microsoft kind of threw like marketing and strategy out the window a little bit, with like a shadow drop. Like there is no logical business sense for that most of the time, unless you're a game that simply doesn't matter. But like they could have built a hype cycle for Hi-Fi Rush. Absolutely. We all would have gobbled it up because it looks awesome. And we would have been like, yeah, this is going to be great. Um, I don't know business numbers wise what the difference looks like and what they feel like that parallel universe could have been. Did read an article that said Bethesda made that call ultimately, which is interesting. But yeah, like I don't know. I could see them, and I'm obviously Starfield won't be a shadow drop, but I could see them just sticking to their guns and having a loaded window and feel like we're dominating that conversation. Do I think that's smart? No, I think we're also heavily going to associate Diablo with Xbox, even if it's also coming to PlayStation. And I think they're going to have Minecraft April, Redfall May, Diablo June. I think July probably perfect. That if it's a
I think
delay,
that's
that would be
fine.
my guess because
Yeah.
usually July is the dead of the dead when it comes to summer. Like people are like, oh, there's summer games. No, there's May and there's June games. Nobody gives a shit about July. Uh August sometimes you'll get some late games, but it's also kind of and then September it kicks back into gear. So July would dominate the
Yeah.
discourse, whether or not good, bad, whatever. That's what people would talk about for July. I'm sure we'd get 2 episodes out of it.
Probably. Probably. I can see that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if it's anywhere near like still summertime, it's got to be July most likely. And if not that, just push it to fall. Let it be a fall game. Take as much time as they need. Speaking of games where we still don't really know its specific date, Forza Motorsport that showed up this at the developer direct. gave us a nice, good look at gameplay. We got a 2023 release window. I'm not a Forza Motorsport person. It's more sim racing than anything. I'm not really into sim racers. And also, I was at work as is par for the course most of the time whenever these showcases happen. I was at work, so I was half watching, haven't had a chance to go back and rewatch it. But um, just watching it on my little iPhone 11, that's a good looking game. That I can say that much. It is a good looking game, and everything they were saying sounds like it'll be appeasing all the fans of Forza Motorsport. I liked how they were talking about the way that they have the dirt modeling on the cars. Each car has like collects dirt in a different way on its body and everything. I was like, do your thing, fam. It just looks like it's gonna be a really visually stunning racing game. So hope the fans look forward to it.
Yeah, I have nothing to contribute about Forza. Not even a meme, not a joke. Just like, look, obviously visually stunning, but I don't want to joke about the game or make fun of like people that love those games. Sure, they're psyched. Will come and pass. Like people trying to pull the Forza Horizon 2 as GOTY. Was that last year? I don't
Forza
know.
Horizon 5, you mean?
Forza, right? Yeah, sorry, not 2. I don't know where I'm getting that from. But it was like, all right, guys, let's chill. Like most of us still not playing Forza. It can be your GOTY. Let's leave it out of the broader discussion. That's not how we're going to remember this year.
Elder Scrolls Online came next. They announced the Necrom expansion. It's coming in June. It's featuring a new class called the Arcanist, and it's set in Eastern Morrowind. And honestly, I feel like of all the segments of the developer direct, I pay the least amount of attention to this, but I was still listening to it, and I feel like this was the one where we're like, could have been a blog post because it seemed like most of it they were talking about. Yeah, our community is so great, so lovely. We love our community and all like that, as opposed to talking about the expansion itself. But hey, Elder Scrolls Online fans, all you guys out there, new expansion in June.
For all three of you.
Oh, you'll make fun of them. You'll make fun of them, but not the Forza guys.
Yeah, because it's funny to make fun of Elder Scrolls Online because like we're not going to entertain the notion that's a good game.
I'm not going to say it's not.
I respect the craft. I understand what's going into it. You know, Elder Scrolls Online exists.
It exists. Here's a game though. Neither of us are going to make fun of. No one's making fun of Hi-Fi Rush.
Woo! That's a game right there.
Brand new game announced from Tango Gameworks. That's right, the developers of Evil Within, Evil Within 2, and they even made fun of this in the trailer. So from the developers of Evil Within, seriously, and Evil Within 2, really, like they had that on the trailer. This game was shadow dropped the same day it was announced. Not the demo, the entire game shadow dropped. For those who don't know, Hi-Fi Rush, it's a third person rhythm action game where your character has got this guy named Chai, and he has this like MP3 player that gets like essentially implanted into his chest. So now he just constantly feels the rhythm and beat of music, and the whole world moves to the beat of whatever song is playing. And like combat is done, or at least combat is heightened by going to the beat of the music and moving and acting and attacking to the beat of the music. And you're trying to overthrow the company that caused this to happen to you and like take down the bosses of it. And it's such a cool game. Like from the moment it was announced, I love the art style. It has a cell shaded, really stylistic art style. If you want to think like the Jet Set games, think that is essentially this art style. Of course, modern, much better looking and everything like that. Yeah. Really vibrant, bright colors, awesome aesthetic, really great humor across the board too. Like the game, it doesn't take itself too seriously. And like the jokes that they make, they're not like too heavy-handed or like Borderlands type jokes. They're good jokes. It's just a really cool game all around, and I was pleasantly surprised by the announcement of it. Tyler, what were your thoughts initially? From when we first saw it, and then we've both played it since then. So like we'll talk about that too. It's like our thoughts on it so far.
My thoughts are let's fucking go. I love this game. I love this game so much. I don't know. Are we going to talk just about how we feel? Like, is this like our talk about the game, or do you want to separate that to what we were playing? I don't know how you
No,
wanted
no, no.
to.
We're gonna do what we've been playing for High on Rush. We'll go now because
Or
yeah,
Hi-Fi Rush, yeah.
yes, I said
I
high. I said
Yeah,
high
you're
on
good.
Rush. Wow.
If if Tyler if Tyler's description was a little too vague or plain for you, here I pulled up my script here from my review I posted. Go watch it. Good game. We lost. Hi-Fi Rush wears its quirky and vibrant attitude on its sleeve. Jet Set Radio meets Devil May Cry meets Guitar Man with a dose of anime for good measure still doesn't quite capture just how wild this game is. It truly does feel like the GameCube and Dreamcast had a baby, and this game is that labor of love. Of love. I mean, it's a fever dream. It is. You couldn't have convinced me this game existed a week ago. You just couldn't have. Like,
Right.
The boring 2023 pitch would be like, hey, it's Sunset Overdrive, but better. But like, it's so much more than that. I was like trying to tell, we talked about it a lot pre-show, but I was telling you just like, it feels like it perfectly captures that late 90s, early aughts. I feel like even more so the early aughts, but I'm sure there's some late 90s crossover there. Just that feel, that weird love for just things that are like over the top, but like earnest about it.
Yes.
It's jokes and it's humor. It never even gets close to the Deadpool line, in my opinion. Like, it's only self-referential a few times, and I feel like, whatever, those jokes or whatever, but I like there are genuinely funny lines. And it doesn't really care if every joke doesn't land. It understands sometimes it's just about a hit rate. Not everything's gonna hit. But like at the end, man, it's like guitars are swelling. Like the soundtrack for this game bangs. They made some original music, and like it's just at the very end, like anime meets Power Rangers. It's about the power of friendship, and then they do the 5-character, like, the cut up. It's awesome, and it's not too deep. But it's like, it's cool that it's anti-corporation. It's cool that it's got that early aughts mentality of just like, well, we can do it. It hasn't hit that 2020s level of depression. It's like, we're not defeating Amazon, guys. This sucks. We're in the worst timeline. It's gone. You get to be joyous.
Take down Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, you get to be joyous and hopeful for a few minutes or for a few hours while you play this game. And it just rules so much. And I love it. I put in my review like a small mention of like, the story is straightforward and everything, but the little details, like the robot workers, if you go around and you talk, like the enemy robots are just like, basically they're robots are being told what to do, but they also have a personality. Like, so many of them, like you talk to one guy at one point when you're in the cafeteria, and he's just like you just got done being in a fight with everybody in the cafeteria after they were trying to just eat lunch. And then, you show up, and then one of them's just like off to the side listening to his headphones, and you go and you talk to him. He's like, people rag on this place a lot, but they make a good cup of decaf coffee. Like, it's just, and he doesn't care. Like, these workers, like, they make jokes through like dialogue or through like side dialogue and whatnot. They don't have any days off because they're being overworked. And it's just right. Like,
that reminds me like of one of the lines where I forgot where I was, but I've only played about 4 hours of the game, finished the first 4 stages. I think it was like stage 2 or so. And I went up to one of the robot guys to talk to him. And I think he was drinking something. He was like, yeah, I'm allowed to, I'm doing something on my 1 break per month or something. I was just like, what are you talking? Like, what? 1 break per month? And then like reading the little notes that the robots leave and everything. And I loved the one in the volcano level where you're reading it, and the robot, he's like, yeah, so my job is to go place down the side, the arrow signs all over the place. I'm the best guy who could do it. I love doing it. And then he he just keeps placing them down. You're reading each of the signs, and he's talking about how everyone's just like, why is he so like in love with this? And then you get to the final one, and he's like, all the signs were just to lead to a pipe of all things. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was worth it for you. And you see like his dead robot body there next to the letters. It's like, this is great. Like, I love those little things that like, it just adds to the world. Like, it just
the robots are blindly alive.
Doing these. The robots are doing these things, and like their life sucks, but like they acknowledge it sucks, but in a humoristic type of way. and it
it
just adds color to things.
and then like in a weird way for story depth and just like thematic depth. Like,
Yes.
yeah, uh evil overlord corporations suck ass, but also like the day-to-day, it's not the day-to-day workers' fault. Like they're just doing their job, man. Like that is literally
Right.
it. They stop screaming at the cashier, you know.
Right.
He's got zero breaks. There's even a throwaway line about like it's weird how like all of a sudden on the schedule there's 3 Mondays in a row. Like I
Yes,
just
I forgot about that one. Like,
there's a lot of just great, like, I think sometimes, yeah, like I said, some of the jokes can be a little cringy or whatever, but it doesn't care because it takes itself very seriously. It's having so much fun with all of this. But like I think, yeah, the robots are probably the highlight of just some of the best written jokes and humor really comes from all that. But it's so good, man. I love this game so much. Somehow in a stacked year, we got a shadow drop that will almost definitely be in my top 5. It will probably take a while to be overthrown. Like, I don't know. I could see myself loving Resident Evil 4 remake, but I don't know. I'm not being a Resident Evil head if that'll jump this, you know what I mean?
maybe
Which is
Atomic Heart for you.
yeah. Well, if Atomic Heart's in the timeline where it's not, like we kind of went over this of the range of outcomes. There's an outcome where this is much better, but I mean that's a good problem to have if Atomic Heart like let's go, and then we've also got this. You know, that's what I want. But in
Right,
the
right.
timeline where it kind of sucks, then at least I've got this.
Yeah, no, yeah, this was an awesome surprise. Like from the like again from that reveal trailer, I was like all in on it, and then just from the style, from the aesthetic and everything, and then hearing the blend of rhythm and action and how the rhythm and the music has just plays a part, not just in the core gameplay of the combat, but it's like every aspect of the game. Like the cutscenes are synced to the music. It's like it's such a cool little touch that like I love that they went that extra mile to just like have it all work out so well and then playing it myself. And I'm just like, man, this is so much fun. I do have some issues with it and all. Like I feel like the combat can get a bit chaotic, making it tough to keep up with the music and keep that in tune with the combat and all. The platforming can be a tad floaty, a tad too floaty, I think, when you're trying to like get some of the platforming right for certain things. Not it's not really too big an issue. But I mean, I'm still enjoying it. I'm only 4 hours in or so. I don't think the game is that long. You said it's about 11 chapters, and each stage is roughly, give or
An hour,
take, an
yeah.
hour or so. So I'm going to review this game. Review should be out within a couple days of this episode going live. We're recording this on Saturday, the 28th. So I'm aiming to have my review out within a week of today. I should be able to finish the game today and hopefully have that done and out by Friday, the Friday after this episode goes live. That is the plan. That's the intent. We'll see what happens. But Hi-Fi Rush, definitely go play this game. If you have Game Pass, download it now. Go ahead and play it. Like it's such a great game for sure. If you don't have Game Pass, I can definitely say buy it for sure at this point in time. Like your money will not be wasted.
Give the developer support, even if like I have Game Pass so right now, so I will not be purchasing it like that, but I will absolutely double dip if they do a physical release. I'll just make
Oh
that
yeah,
known. I love this game so much. I would love to have it on my collection. But for me, as much as I love the developer, I'm not just going to give them $60 to just have a digital copy like
it's
when I
less than
already
60.
played it.
It's less than 60.
Oh, how much is it?
I think it's 30. I think is the
Still
regular
not paying that
version.
without a physical copy. I pay 60 for a physical copy to clarify, like not an issue.
So yeah, buy High on Life, play High on not High on Life. Wrong game, wrong game entirely.
Don't buy that.
Hi-Fi Rush. Go play Hi-Fi Rush. Go buy Hi-Fi Rush. It's really great game so far. Look forward to my review in a couple days. Go check out Tyler's review right now. Good game we lost. You said on
Good game we lost. Yep, TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube. It's out on all 3.
Nice. Go check that out. Let's wrap up the Xbox developer direct conversation though. Just with really question here. What do we think of this format? Because this is the first time Xbox has done this. In the past, they've done like the inside Xbox things where they've sat down and talked with developers, or they've done like their post E3 showcase, hour-long talk with each of the developers, getting a bit more information. But this is the first time we're having a quote unquote direct from them where it's no host. It's just, hey, these couple games here. We're gonna have the devs talk about their games, what it is, show you some gameplay from it. What did you think of the formats of the show?
I think I so not watching it live, seeing what they were trying to do, it felt a little like they were trying to have their cake and eat it too. It felt like they were trying to do the hybrid of the the stylized video where it's like similar to E3 presentation. Well, not well, really the more compressed E3 towards the end, but where it's just the state of play or it's the Nintendo Direct. It felt like it wanted to be this and also kind of like a developer talks thing. I think the shadow drop carries it because otherwise, to me, it felt like something that I genuinely just don't care about. Like I'd rather just watch the trailer than do the whole thing. But also, love developers. I hate watching. I'm not a big interview person. In general, like there's some not, like unless I'm looking up something for research and for context in general, like watching someone talk about a game pre-game is never like that's what gets me going. I'm definitely more like just to show me, just put a trailer up, put a gameplay slice up. Like I'm gonna be less harsh on that too than I am whatever paragraph you typed up. As someone that likes writing and appreciates good writing and it at the end of the day, I just don't care about an interview for a game as much as I'm going to care about. So it's not my optimal format. Not that I think they did anything wrong within what they wanted to do, but the shadow drop does make it feel like they were also trying to make some get hype moments. So I don't know. It's just like I want it to be a little more straightforward. If it's, of course, I love the shadow drop, but like I don't know, could that not have been done? I guess they wanted it at this time frame specifically, but you know what I mean? Like, is that the expectation going forward? Of course, we don't really think there's going to be a shadow drop, but I don't know. It's like, I digress. I like state of play Nintendo Direct style more, or just the fact that like, hey, this is straight up just going to be like developers talking.
See, I really liked this format. Like I feel like it was a mixture of kind of sort of Nintendo Direct and State of Play in terms of structure and format. So like in terms of length, it was definitely more like full blown Nintendo Direct terms length of like, all right, we're in the 40-minute
Yeah, it
range
was
and all
pretty
like
long,
that.
right? Or like 40
Right,
minutes. Yeah.
right. But I liked how it kind of also was similar to a Sony State of Play in the sense of we're gonna like Sony will have like a state of play where we focus on this specific game, or maybe we focus on like these 2 or 3 games for this state of play. So I like how that worked for them here. And then, but then on the other hand, they also took a bit out of the Nintendo playbook where Nintendo with their state of plays, they'll like show a trailer for a game and then they'll like run some more footage of the game and give you like a brief overview of what it is and all like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might do it go longer on some games than others, but I like how they do that. Whereas State of Plays, not to knock or any of them or anything like that, but State of Plays, after they show the game, you'll be like, hey, that was this game. It's this and it's coming on this date. But they won't give you like any more details about it unless that is what that State of Play is about. So like with this one here, I like how they showed us the game. And yes, although the devs were talking, I feel like again, I'd have to watch it again, but I feel like even though the devs were talking about the game, more often than not, it was mainly just game footage on the screen, and while the devs were talking over it, giving you like, hey, here's background on the game, here's background on what this mode is. Here are things that you can do in this mode of the game, for example, with Minecraft Legends PvP. Here's some of the gameplay ramifications of this. Here's how the mode works. Here's how it's structured and all like that. That way we can see what they're talking about while getting an actual explanation of the mode and not just being like, I think that's what it is, or not, and not just hearing them say, I understand what you're saying, but I would understand better if I saw it as well. We see and hear at the same time. And I don't think anything went on for too long, barring the Elder Scrolls Online thing, but that's a separate conversation in and of itself. Like I think for what they were trying to go for, showing us each game, talking about it, nothing went too long. Everything went for about as long as it should have, was explained and shown in as much depth as it needed to be to get its point across, get you interested, get you excited, or at least help you just have a better understanding of what the game is. And then it was on to the next one, on to the next one. Like we had 5 games here. I think nothing went for longer than 10, maybe 11 minutes or so, roughly. Like Redfalls was 11 minutes, I think. And that's the thing. The things that needed to be long went for as long as they needed to be. They got their time. Redfall needed a good 10, 11 minutes. It got that time. I think Forza Motorsport, however long that was, like they all had the appropriate amount of time for what they were. And I really like this format. And I think again, Sony and Nintendo, no, they could everyone took learnings from each other when they made their things. Like Nintendo, grandfather of this direct format. Sony took some learnings from it when they made State of Plays, and we have the State of Plays that we have now. Microsoft took learnings from both of those, and now we have their version of it. I'm just curious going forward if we'll have only developer directs that are focused on first party things from Microsoft, or if we'll have developer directs and then other type of directs that are also like first party and third party as well, or if developer direct will just be the overall branding, and some will be first party, some will be more general. You get what I mean? Because Nintendo does general, Sony will
Yeah.
have first party and general as well, all under like one umbrella. So interesting to see, but I think
We'll
the
see.
format works for them so far. It's a good first outing on that regard.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's a good way to wrap up the conversation really about Xbox. Last bit, we know that they're going to do a physical showcase in LA this summer. We just don't know if it's, they didn't say if they're going to be at E3, but in an interview with IGN, Phil Spencer was like, we try to do our timing so that we're around it, but he didn't say whether or not they're going to be at E3. So we'll still have to wait and see on that. But good start to the year for Xbox overall. It gave me hope after the conversation we had for that bonus episode about like, hey, what does 2023 have in store? Communication so far seems like they're doing a good job right now. So yeah, we're gonna shift from Xbox and Microsoft though. Let's talk about Sony and Naughty Dog, because Naughty Dog, they are officially moving on from Uncharted. We got this information from a Neil Druckmann interview with BuzzFeed, where he basically gave this information out. You know, they were talking with him about the Last of Us TV show and all like that.
Yeah.
And he talked about Uncharted as kind of like a point to make in regards to The Last of Us. So he said here, quote, beyond that, I know there's a bunch of people wondering about The Last of Us Part 3. And real quick, beyond that, he was talking previously about The Last of Us multiplayer game, basically saying what we already know about it. Beyond that, I know there's a bunch of people wondering about The Last of Us Part 3 and whether that will be a thing or not. All I could say is at Naughty Dog, we're very, very privileged that our publisher is Sony, which means Sony funds our games, supports us, and we're owned by Sony. They have supported us every step of the way to follow our passions, meaning that just because something is successful, people think there's all this pressure and we have to make a sequel. That's not the case. For us, Uncharted was insanely successful. Uncharted 4 was one of our best selling games, and we're able to put our final brushstroke on that story and say that we're done, we're moving on, end quote. I'm fine with Naughty Dog moving on from Uncharted. I honestly wouldn't be mad if Uncharted kind
That we all
of
just
died
accepted
entirely. Yeah, I thought we accepted it too, but it's nice that they are like finally themselves putting that, saying, yeah, we put the pin on it, we're done. What, like, are you fine with them moving on from Uncharted? And I guess a better question, really, or another question you could look at this from is, would you be fine with Uncharted continuing on without Naughty Dog? Because I can go either way on it.
Yeah, I don't think it's legacy enough that we're just like, oh my God, how blasphemous. I mean, will it be as good? Probably not, but it is what it is. If Sony's like, we got to make money, we want to make an Uncharted game, I get it. Yeah, like I'm not bothered. I'm not really swayed one way or the other by this. I like Uncharted. I've never, the odd ones are the ones I haven't played. So I haven't played 1 or 3, although those seem to be the ones that are like, eh.
Three's a really
Love
great
2 and
game.
4. And in general, like I thought we had all just kind of moved on from them not doing one. I think a lot of people hung on to that, like they're gonna do the kid thing, you know, where spoilers for Uncharted 4, they have a kid and Nathan, and then I apologize, I forget
Elena.
yeah. And I think a lot of people saw her, you know, and she's like a teenager at the time. And so we're like, okay, she'll get a little bit older in the next game and we'll play as her. Still could happen, could even be Naughty Dog, but I think they want it to be long enough to where it feels maybe like a surprise and to where like they have some kind of spark of inspiration for how they'd want to tell that. And it's clear that they don't want to do that right now.
Yeah.
You know, I think some people will probably think that they're, you know, so head up their ass self-important that, oh, of course we're not going to do Uncharted, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think if they want to make a lighter game, they like they said, Sony will pretty much back anything they do. Um, and it's just not what they want to do right now. So
Yeah, I mean, in past interviews, I think, they said that, like they follow what they're passionate about. And I mean, the reason we got Last of Us was because they were trying to think of something for like how to continue Jack and Daxter, and what the ideas they were having, they were like, this doesn't fit that at all. Like this isn't that, and then they ended up, we got The Last of Us out of it instead. And I mean, there's also the rumors that PlayStation Malaysia or some other PlayStation studio is making a new Uncharted game. There was rumors that it was Ben Studio was going to be doing something Uncharted, but then they asked it to be taken off of that. So I mean, because Uncharted is such a big moneymaker, I imagine Sony would want to continue it in some way, shape, or form. Uh, it is the question though of like, man, if it's not Naughty Dog, who would I want it to be, and would I want it to even happen? Because I'm sure it would still be a good game, or at least I would hope it'd still be a good game, but it would just have all that baggage and expectation and comparison of Naughty Dog like killed it with the Uncharted games, and just in terms of the story and characters and the writing. You can argue about the gameplay all you want. I enjoy the gameplay for the Uncharted games.
yeah, same.
So like it would be that comparison of like, all right, is whoever else is making it, are they living up to the standards that Naughty Dog set with the characters and the writing and the story? Like, are they living up to that or not? And I don't know if you'd want to be the studio that has to follow that up in any way, shape, or form. I think like Naughty Dog, like you said, they ended 4 in a way where it could continue, or we put a nice bow on it right here and it doesn't have to continue, or you can continue with new characters. But I would,
yeah, I mean, Sony does sideline characters for long periods of time, if not forever.
Looking at Jack and Daxter and Sly Cooper, I would love for them to come back somehow, some way.
But at the end of the day, like I do kind of appreciate that we can at least speculate and know that like maybe it never comes back. I like that personally. I
Yeah,
don't want everything to become an endless stream of sequels and whatever. And like I do enjoy certain sequels. I like Sony will continue to make sequels. Like I don't think that's a surprise, but like I like that we don't know which ones will get the green light, which ones developers will be passionate about, want to bring back, etc. And that I like that they have some parts of their catalog that'll just never be explored again. That's pretty cool to me. I assume Uncharted, because it makes money, will be like God of War, where it'll just be like someone will have an idea or really want it, and they'll just let them go for it. But I do think we'll probably. I mean, it's been kind of a cool down between the I forget the name of the spinoff.
Lost Legacy.
Lost Legacy, yeah, which came out not too long after 4, like
I
a
think it was like a
year
year
and a
or
half,
so
maybe
later.
something like that.
It's like 20. It's been since 2017. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's either 16 or 17, something like that. So I mean, it's already been 6 years, but I think probably at least another 4 before we see another Uncharted. So like maybe they're thinking about it now, and it comes out 4 years, 5 years from now, so it's like a decade or so. Or maybe it's not. Maybe we get some kind of like more remasters of remasters as the 10-year anniversary, or not even 10-year anniversary, or whatever. I'm sure if they do something, they might schedule it around that. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
I'm not like, it's weird for me sometimes. I'm like, why are people worrying? I guess it's because of the Last of Us show, but I'm like, why are people worrying about Last of Us, or not Last of Us, but Uncharted right now?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Last of Us, he continued on talking more about the future of The Last of Us actually in the interview. And he said, so literally continuing on from his last statement, he says, quote, likewise with The Last of Us, it's up to us whether we want to continue it or not. Our process is the same thing we did when we did part 2, which is if we could come up with a compelling story that has this universal message statement about love, just like the first and second game did, then we will tell that story. If we can't come up with something, we have a very strong ending with part 2, and that will be the end, end quote. Which I think brings up the question, do we want a third one? Because
I've been on record as no.
See, that's the thing. Similar with the ending of part 1, I can go either way on it. I think if the story is good, if you have a good story, I'm all for it. But if not, leave it as is, because things ended just fine. Except I think 2 ends and leaves itself lending itself more towards a sequel happening than 1 did. but I would still be fine if 2 ended the way it did, and that's all we got. So I don't necessarily need a third one. I wouldn't be a. I don't know if I say I want a third one either. I want a third one more than I did the first one, but again, I don't really need or want it. Like I'm fine with how things left off. Um, but I think more outside of just like the Last of Us story side of things, I'm not too eager about a third one because I would love to see Naughty Dog do something else, given how long game development takes these days. I would love to see
Yeah.
them do something else, and I don't want it to be. I mean, I know they have multiple teams and multiple projects in development. They're
Yeah.
working on the Last of Us multiplayer thing. There's something else going on over there, but
Yeah. I
like,
don't want it to be like all Last of Us though, because I
right?
personally not going to play factions. Like, just probably
I'll,
not going to do it.
I'll give it a try. See how it failed and everything. But like, I would love to see them do something new, and I don't want it to be what until 2020 2020 what 2027 before we see something new from them. Like I would love to see something new from them sooner than that. So that's where I fall on it. You could do a third one if you want at some point, but I hope the next thing is something new and not more The Last of Us.
Yeah.
That's where I fall.
Same. But well, I mean, I actively do not want a 3. I'm sure it'll happen and I'll be irritated about it and it'll be good. Because that's just how the cycle works. But I think 2, I think 1 wrapped up too much in a bow, which is why I was okay with the sequel. I'm always okay with like breaking the status quo, but I like ambitious endings in, well, not ambitious, but even like I like cliffhanger endings that aren't, but you don't know, and where they just leave it. Like I like trust your audience to just use their imagination, is usually how I am. And I just feel like overall the messages of 2 can be muddied even more with a potential third one. But at the end of the day, it'll probably happen and it'll probably still be good.
Yeah. And I mean, I know even recently Neil Druckmann said like I think he said that what like they have an idea for a story or like he has
Yeah.
ideas for like where a third one could go if it was to happen. Um so I mean, and like you said, I imagine it's gonna happen. I
Yeah.
imagine it's in the works in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I'm kind of similar to you, at least with this game specifically, where it's like I like how it ended. Like I don't need to get more from it right now in terms of the themes or just continuing the character stories. I don't need more of it. But if you have a good story idea and in all, I'm down to hear it. I'm down to see where things go. But I'm fine with things being left as is. I don't need a conclusion or addition to what we have right now. So I think what we have left things just fine. And for tone, story, messaging, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, another franchise that it just never dies. We talked about a franchise that seems like it's done already, or hopefully done. Far Cry over here, as the sky is blue, the sun and the moon rise and set, and another Far Cry is always upon us. Just like there's always a new Call of Duty, or usually always a new Call of Duty every year. There are rumors that Far Cry, Ubisoft is making a new Far Cry. I guess you could call it Far Cry 7 just for simplicity's sake, as well as a new multiplayer game in the series. These rumors come from Insider Gaming and Tom Henderson over here, who we all know or who you may not know. He's a notable, reliable leaker, industry insider in the industry. I actually have him muted on Twitter, not because I don't like him, but more so because I prefer to not have certain things like I prefer not to know about certain leaks and insider information and all like that. And for me personally, I like the surprise of it. And because he just shoots things out there, I'm just like, I don't want to know. So I'll just mute you. But certain leaks I don't care about seeing and hearing and all like that. This is one of those where it's like, well, I figured a Far Cry 7 was going to happen at some point in time. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Far Cry. No way it wasn't going to happen. What do you think about a new Far Cry and just more so just like getting another multiplayer game? Or like, where do you fall on Far Cry? Period. I don't think we've talked about it before.
Yeah, I really, ironically enough, I got Far Cry 3 at a Goodwill the other day too. It's not my franchise du jour, but it's not my first choice. I've really not played a ton of it, but I feel like Far Cry transcends the idea of it's become what Ubisoft wanted. It transcends the idea of like it's this mainline story that you're invested in and care about. I don't think anyone gives a shit about that, right? It's just like it's a setting, it's a vibe, it's a checklist of things you do. That's what Far Cry is. To pretend like it's anything more than a money-making video game is like, do I want to be cynical about it? No. Am I going to be cynical about it? Yes, because we're being real. That's exactly what it is. It's a checklist. It's a setting. It's go do these things that you enjoy doing. If you like that, no harm, no foul. Why would I hate that people like a game, especially a game that's not, I mean, this is its first real foray into multiplayer, but it hasn't been super gotcha-y for the most part. It's been, it likes to drum up fake controversy like with 5, but like, who cares? I get it. Like, I like a flair for the dramatic too. So I don't have an issue with people that like Far Cry. I don't really have an issue with the game existing in perpetuity and having a billion sequels. It's Call of Duty. It is what it is. Like, you know what you're signing up for.
Would you say that Far Cry is chicken nuggets for you as well? It's just like,
no, because I don't like them, but I understand why people like them.
Got it.
Far Cry's McDonald's, I guess.
That's even okay. I like that. I like that one. No, yeah. I mean, I've only played 5 and 6. I never played 3 and 4, but 3 was the first one. I've known about all of them, but 3 was the first one where I was like, oh, this seems interesting. I wanted to play it, but never got around to it. 4, I was like, cool. Never got around to playing it. But 5, I was like, I'm in on it. And I liked 5. Didn't really care much for the ending, but I liked 5. 6, I think, is a good game that is simply a fine 7. a 7 at best. There is potential for it to be better, but there's other things about it where I'm just like, we're doing too much here, and I don't care for it. I'm just like, just keep it simple, short, and stupid, Also, the ending of 6, I was like, this is so dumb. But about this Far Cry 7 and the new multiplayer game, they were both originally planned to be part of the same game, but have apparently been split off into their own separate projects. And the multiplayer project is reportedly an extraction game set in the Alaskan wilderness. The location of the mainline game, it's unknown, but you can reasonably assume it's the same location since they were both supposed to be part of the same game from the start. And as of right now, there's an internal release date of fall 2025, but of course that could change. Development's crazy, like that. What do you think about that?
I think it's interesting. It's so far away.
Really? You think that's interesting? That is so far?
Yeah, because the timeline between 5 and 6 was pretty quick. I feel like it's definite because 6 came out in 2020, right?
2021
or 2021, yeah.
And then 5 was
I can Google it real quick.
I think 5 was 2017 or 2018. It wasn't too long ago. So like 3 to 4 years. I mean, that sounds about right.
2018.
2018. So yeah, 3 years there, but you also have to take into account COVID. So
that's true.
In this Far Cry 7, you would imagine probably started development.
Well, because
as we're like walking on out of the pandemic.
3 years feels more like the cycle. So 2024 feels like, oh yeah, the next Far Cry is around the corner. Whereas 2025, that extra year feels a little more like, oh wow.
I mean, let's look at Ubisoft's in production slate of games and all like that. This is like 2025 seems like, you know what, give yourself some more time. You guys got a lot of stuff to worry about over there. Go to 2025. But in terms of the location, I'm down for the location. Alaskan wilderness. Okay, maybe that seems somewhat similar to Far Cry 4's, but I mean,
does that ultimately affect a multiplayer game? You know what I mean? It's like,
well, I mean, it could depending on like how they decide to implement the setting, like in terms of weather. Like, okay, are there going to be snowstorms that affect visibility and gameplay aspects of things? Can you take advantage of the snow and like hide in the snow or cover yourself in a certain type of outfit to hide in the snow and all like that? It could make it interesting.
This is where we're at with Far Cry. I don't know what exactly we're going to do for E3 because between this and Good Gaming Live, who knows? But if we do E3, a podcast together, I will create a game called Far Cry Mad Libs, and our prediction for Far Cry we'll just fill out a sheet. And honestly, no matter what we put on there, I would probably believe it. It'll be like the new Far Cry game has this is located here. This is the protagonist is crazy or whatever, or the antagonist is crazy because of an insert, and then the new feature is blank and blah blah blah. Like I can come up and get wild, and you can just and who's the celebrity antagonist is blank.
Yeah.
And I guarantee, because I think the celebrity thing is just going to be a thing, but it's going to be like a more niche. They'll never get they'll never get The Rock because he's not contractually not allowed to lose. But it'll, I'm sure they'll stick with someone that's like known for being a bad guy, but not like super popular. I'm trying to think of one off the top, but I can't. But like Giancarlo Esposito was like the perfect.
Oh, he worked so well. He was so great.
Yeah, maybe they'll pull and bring another Breaking Bad villain in. I don't know.
Just get
get Tuco.
No. I feel so terrible. I can't remember the actor's name who plays Walter White. I'm blanking. I feel so bad.
Bryan Cranston.
There you go. Yes, I knew it. I just couldn't remember. Get Bryan Cranston.
Maybe that'd be sick. That could get me to play a Far Cry game. Probably not, but maybe.
And that's the start of the Breaking Bad Far Cry universe.
Yeah.
Right there. No, yeah, I like 6. I hope that 7 doesn't go as live servicey, because I mean at the end of 6, it's like, okay, cool. You beat the the big bad and everything, but all those outposts and everything you liberated. Yeah. Now, like once a week, there's gonna be a couple of them that are overtaken again. Get them back. And this is your live service life. It's just like not every game needs to have live service elements implemented in it just to keep it going. Like it's okay for a single player game to have a
Greg
single
Miller
player
gave
campaign.
it his favorite platinum of that year.
No, I'm just like, it's okay for a single player game to like have some post game stuff, but it doesn't need to be live service to death. And I saw that, I was like, I was already done after I finished the campaign, but anyway, but I was like, not a chance I would do any of that. I'm done. Delete. Delete.
Far Cry's reached a point, right? Like where I try and play as much as I can that feels relevant to the year. And like, I didn't give a shit about missing Far Cry 6. I wasn't lying to myself being like, this is relevant. Is this the GOTY?
Yeah, I knew it wasn't. I was like, this will be a holiday break game I play, if that. And if I do, like, I'm not in any rush. Like, I'm fine. I was not getting that day one because I knew, I was like, it's Far Cry, it's whatever it is. That's about it, though. That's it for the main news stories. Let's go over these brief mentions that we have. Not too many.
We don't have to spend too long on them.
But... Yeah, no. First up, GoldenEye 007 is now out on Switch and Xbox. I'm hearing that the Xbox version, I think that each version has like their own weird issues in some way, shape, or form. But hey, if you're into GoldenEye, it's out now. You can play it on modern consoles. IGN, they did a report this week that just added more info on the Halo and 343 situation. And then they also, I mentioned earlier, they have an interview with Phil Spencer on their site. Kat Bailey over at IGN did it. An extensive interview that went live like the day after the developer direct. They interviewed him right afterwards. So that's also good reads. Both reports, good reads. Give them a read. Justin Roiland has resigned from Squatch Games. He's no longer there. And also, we just add on to this because we talked about it briefly last week. He's no longer with the show Rick and Morty. Dan Harmon is going to be the sole creator of the show, and they're going to be recasting. So,
not a surprise there.
Not a surprise there. Not at all. Washington Post, unfortunately, they're closing down Launcher. They're more video game focused side of things. So a lot of the people, I don't remember how many people over there, but I think like essentially the whole team got laid off. Gene Park is just getting moved to a different part of Washington Post, but a number of the other staff over there that were at Launcher are getting laid off, which is an absolute shame. Just the layoffs just keep on coming, and it's awful. It's depressing.
Yeah.
HBO's The Last of Us is getting a second season. I mean, we all knew it was going to happen after the first 2 episodes and the reception they got.
It's been doing gangbuster numbers, so why would they not sign it up?
It's awesome to see that. Tyler, you said you finally saw the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, I have. Oh boy.
Thoughts? Give me your thoughts real quick.
An absolute heater of a show right now. It's really good. It's the acting, just I think they have tweaked it just enough. It's a little different. I think the beginning's given them some opportunities to be different in ways maybe we didn't expect. So I'm
Mhm.
interested to see how much it deviates, sticks to what we know. I'm kind of okay with the ways it changes things, and I like am fully kind of embracing it changing things. Like I don't want to know every single beat and moment. I'm fine with just knowing the broader strokes of stuff.
Yeah. Like I like the things that they're doing now, like in the second episode. Spoilers kind of sort of here, but like what how they're emphasizing the tendrils are how things spread. And
Yeah,
how
that
like
made sense.
interconnected everything is with the cordyceps and fungus and all. Like I like how it's like, okay, the tendrils, if something touches the tendrils in one area, like the tendrils will let all the affected in another area know, like, hey, get over there because something's going down over there. So then you just end up with like 50 infected running at you Days Gone style. Like I was just like, whoa, like that's an interesting change. And like if there is a third game, it'd be cool if that was implemented in it in some way, shape, or form. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm liking it though. I'm liking it as well. And I like that first section at the beginning of the second episode where like pre and infection starts and everything. And just like, what do we do? Bomb everything.
Yeah.
Bomb everything. It's like so intense.
Yeah.
So
Very
intense.
intense. Yeah.
I guess my other question for you, what did you think of just, the opening section of the game, but in the first episode, like how that was done?
I thought it was fine. I thought it made more sense to clue everyone in. I like the audience is watching. Like obviously, a large portion is going to be video people that play video games. But a lot of people maybe are video game adjacent. They know it exists as a video game, but now that it's a show and it looks interesting and it's got actors they know want to watch it. So like giving them more context than the game, which kind of like I like the intro, but it's very just like, here you go. Like I think the
Yeah.
added context was needed and well done. And I'm not like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they deviated from the game. Like they got to that point. They took the long route. That's totally fine with me. They're gonna have to like stretch certain parts, and then other parts we will just kind of skip over because you're not going to be pushing a pallet in water and you're not going to be moving ladders. So
Yeah.
I thought it was really well done and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to my girlfriend about like the very first episode of how they really expanded on just the way the world was before like everything went down that night. And I was saying, like, man, like it's so cool. Like I wonder it's cool they're doing this here since they couldn't do it in the game because that's not something you could really do in a game. Like when you're having the interactive element there, you can't really just do like here's the day-to-day stuff. Like that's not going to be that interesting unless it's like the opening of the sequel to a game. And even then, like you really can't do it for that long either. But like in this medium, you're able to do it and just like really just like sit in that world for a bit longer and just like enjoy the little things before everything just goes crazy. It was a nice touch. Happy you're
Yeah.
enjoying it though. I thought you would. I'm happy you
Yeah.
are though.
Well, we might have to do a spoiler cast after the
After,
season's done.
yeah. I'm thinking that too. We'll
We'll
think
see.
about it. We'll brainstorm. We'll see what happens. Last brief mention here, which is actually, I guess we could call it a breaking news brief mention of sorts, because this leaked like last night, but I saw it this morning. Early alpha footage of the Horizon multiplayer game leaked online. It was like 10, 11 minutes. It's claimed to be from like a 2020 build of the game, 2020 alpha build, I should say, of the game. And for full transparency, like the footage, again, because it's so early, like all the details aren't there. All the proper lighting isn't really there. Like the world, it's not all fully filled in, but like you see the character, you see a bunch of different character models for like multiplayer characters, and each one seemingly has different like weapon, like item sets and stuff in terms of weapons and abilities and health and all like that. Saw like the character in a camp of sorts, and it's like moving around, debug menu, take them to different machines and stuff are in the environment and everything like that. And the characters, they are stylized for sure. Couldn't really, the world seems slightly stylized, and I'm not sure how
Yeah.
stylized. It's really hard to tell because of how not finalized the world is. But the characters definitely are stylized. I would say think stylized similar to like Fortnite or Overwatch. I
Yep, that's what
think
I was thinking as well.
like the two of them is kind of how they're stylized. So not too crazy. It still works. But again, like without proper lighting, proper models, like final versions of them, we can't really say for sure, oh, they're going to be great or they look terrible or like so out of touch or anything like that. But just a thing. Maybe you could find it online still.
Not much to infer other than Horizon multiplayer game is happening.
Yep, different classes. We'll see it when we see it. So that's going to be our brief mentions. That's it for the news. What we're going to do now, we're going to move into what we've been playing. We already talked about half of it.
And one game only. Well, because I already talked about, I beat Hi-Fi Rush. He played it. We already got that. So Tyler has played one other game that I've also played. So it'll be a full spoiler
discussion on Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. And I'm prefacing this now because this is a very tough game to talk about without getting into spoilers. I'm just like full stop, it is. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, this is your chance. You can bow out the episode right now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Subscribe on YouTube podcast services, hit the notification bell, and 5-star, all that jazz.
If you are unaware of this game, also trigger warning.
Yes, I was going to give that as well.
Okay.
Just like real brief overview of what Doki Doki Literature Club is in case you're like interested. Visual novel. You play as this character who joins the literature club at the school, and you're writing poems and everything like that. The less you know about this game, honestly, the better going into it. All I'll say is things are not as quite as they seem. And as Tyler was saying, the only thing more than that I will say is the game definitely touches and covers like triggering subjects. So subjects such as depression, suicide, things like that. It covers those topics. So if those things are triggering to you, maybe don't play the game. But if they are not triggering to you,
I would outright say don't play the game.
Straight up, actually don't play the game.
Yeah.
But if they are not triggering to you, Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, one hell of a game. It's one hell of a game.
And if you're never gonna play it, but you're like, I'm intrigued now, stick around.
Yes.
Or if you played it and you want to see how we feel about it, stick around.
And don't care about spoilers. Stick around. All right. It's gonna be a fun little discussion here. So, Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. All right.
The game.
This is a game heard about for years. Been meaning to play it. Been interested in it. And I finally, got a gift card over the holiday. So I used it, bought this in Hades as well. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. Going to do it this weekend. It's a short game. I can knock it out.
Yeah, we had talked about it and you thought it was way longer.
Yeah, I thought it was. You said, oh, no, it's not. I was like, oh shoot. Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to do it then. I'll do it this weekend. I'm in between games. Perfect time for me to knock it out. So I started Doki Doki Literature Club Plus on what night? I think I started, if it wasn't Saturday, Sunday night. And I'm not going to lie. First hour or so, like it's all good vibes, cheerful vibes. I'm doing poems. I'm meeting my friend. I forgot the main friend's name. So Yuri, Sayira, Ria.
Yeah, let me pull it up here real quick.
Yeah, because I know you have.
Because I haven't played it since it came out on Visit, which I platinumed. And if you know how to get that platinum, you have to like basically run through that game. You can speed forward through it, luckily. But yeah, like you have to go through it a lot. I'm trying to look at the characters now, though.
So we have the literature club president, Monica. We have Yuri in the club as well. And then there is there's a smaller little pink-haired girl. I think her name is Natsuki.
Sayori,
there you go. I knew it was something like that. And Sayori is your like childhood friend and everything like that. So she convinced you to join the literature club. Cool, good vibes. We're hanging out, writing poems together, sharing our poems with each other. All good vibes and stuff. But then, we start to get the inkling that, okay, Sayori, she's depressed, and she's trying to hide it from you. And you and her have a crush on each other. And you guys like...
Or do you? Because the game definitely just lets you...
It lets you choose, or does it? Or does it?
It definitely... It delves in the horny, waifu simulator / visual novel. So here's the main reason I played this game, to give context of how I got here, the non-anime person, is because I knew it was more than it was. But I didn't know, so I didn't know about the depression stuff. I didn't know, about obviously we're all full spoilers, but your last spoiler before about Sayori killing herself. I didn't know any of that, but I knew it was different, weird. And I remember reading some comments about people saying they didn't even know how they were going to get it to console, which was, I think, about some of the quote unquote end game stuff where like Monica is crazy and it's like this meta AI changes the files within the game itself, which I believe in the PC you have to actually go to the files and delete her ass. I think that's how it works in the actual PC game.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think that's where they were like, how are they going to do that? But I think they found a very clever workaround for it console wise. So that kind of piqued my interest because this is obviously not my type of game.
Not at all.
It's also not, to be clear, made by a Japanese native, Dan Salvato. It's weird. It's my elevator pitch for it would be imitation is kind of like the biggest form of flattery. But so Salvato imitates these games while coming from a perspective almost of wanting to see the appeal of them, getting it a little bit, but like twisting that knife and letting you know that like what it's doing, what this genre means also does have like this double-sided blade. Like humans are more than like playthings. Like if you're going to like invest in people and these emotions, there's like another side to that. And I think that's what makes the game so brilliant is it's like knowing that there's the foot's about to drop, knowing that there's so much more to this, and also touches. So it has that side, the depression that, people are more than just these things. And then it also has the like, if you're going to be obsessed with someone, are you really prepared to be this obsessed? Because it's not some cute, trendy thing that you think it is. When people are obsessed, there's like a real psychological damage that can be done or has been done. And so like, it's just
with Yuri
it
and
talks
everything
about the human condition all through this horny ass like genre is just fascinating and so fucking good.
Like, dude, like, I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I can't get it like as like crazy in depth with it as you are, but like, I was starting to get like weird vibes, in the lead up to Sayori died, like killing herself, and like at that point, like I could tell, all right, that's where the story's gonna go with her and everything like that, and I felt like something was up with Monica, but I was like, this is where the story's gonna go. I can see that happening. Okay, well, then we'll go from there. But then, like when after she kills herself, and then the game just restarts, and it's like, hey, everything is off now. We're
and
just
like,
gonna
what is going on right now?
We're gonna give you random glitches. We're gonna have you restart the game. Except now Sayori's not even in it. And everyone's acting like everything's brand new and nothing happened. And like as if the story just never had Sayori in it, period. I was like, oh, what? What the hell's happening? What is going on? And just like again, the random glitches, the times where like like the dialogue will be happening and then it'll be the normal text, and then there's rapid fire, giant big black font. Like, what the hell? I was like, what is happening here? And then like one time when I'm talking to Yuri and we're in the hallway, and she's like, yeah, I think something's up with Monica and everything. And then as you press X to go through the dialogue, Monica slowly but surely becomes more and more visible on the screen, and the music is so ominous. I was like, what the fuck is happening here? This game just blew my mind constantly. I was literally audibly sitting here like, what the fuck is even happening? What am I doing? What is going on?
The funniest part is, I would like to think the first gaming podcast to invent the scale of how horny is this game. This game's not even a 10. That's the wildest part. It's like a solid 7, I think, For imitating the genre, it gets there, but it's not. It's like the actual real versions of these games are 10s. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I see what you mean. I was gonna say like it's very because I'm just thinking about like just how intense Yuri is, and then just thinking about more
all of them.
Well, yes, all of them, but specifically Yuri. Like, come on now. Like, I cut my finger.
Okay, so let's just dive into this
and
part.
Yuri just took my finger and just shoved it in her mouth. Like,
let's indulge the horniness of this game for a moment. Because it asks you to pick one of these 4 co-protagonists. Who did you end up like? The game leads you down, and then you eventually, if you platinum it, if you get the proper ending, you basically end up choosing all of them.
Oh, I didn't.
And then Monica gets mad at you. But who was the initial one you chose when you're like, All
right, so you're talking about the very first run, right?
Yeah,
the very
first run.
time. So the very first time I said, hey, I want to go see Sayori, right? I want to go see her. But I want to go help her out with stuff. And they're like, no, you can't do that. Choose between Natsuki, me,
The other three, right?
yeah, the other three. So I was like, all right, well, I was like, I don't really care for Natsuki because she's a jerk. Monica, I was like, you're cool, but I don't really vibe with you like that. So I said, let's go with Yuri. Like Yuri seems fun. She seems cool. And then they were like, what? No, not fair. I was just like, fine. Then Monica. And then Monica's, they're like, no, you can't go with Monica. I'm like, all right, fine, Yuri then. I'll go with Yuri. That's what I want to do anyway. So Yuri was the one I went with essentially. But like even then, I still wanted to like hang out with Sayori instead. But so like, no, Yuri.
During those branching paths, because there's other opportunities, did you also go with Yuri? Or did you like choose different?
No, if I wasn't able to pick Sayori, I just chose Yuri as the person I wanted to.
So Sayori was ultimately your.
Well, I wasn't not even like from like, oh man, my heart yields like fawns for Sayori. More so like,
this is the least horny option.
No. It was like the character. I was like, I like Sayori as a person, but like the character clearly is like has a crush on Sayori. I was like, I would feel so wrong being like, yeah, I'm crushing on you and you're crushing on me, but I'm going for Yuri instead. So that's why I was trying to go the Sayori route, but the game
was like, I friend zoned the hell out of Sayori. These are the cutouts it comes with. I was
oh, they're nice.
Yeah, they're nice. And then also, card carrying member right here, baby, of the Doki Doki Literature Club. There's like more stuff to it, but this is the one I have out because like it's they're so tiny and it's a mess. But it was like I've got the Yuri one out because Team Yuri here. What I'm saying, son? But
Yuri was the bae of my heart, but Sayori was the bae for my character.
It's so funny too because I think Salvato really cuts down. Like I can't comment on how the genre in general cuts down stereotypes or like what are they all the same, blah blah blah. But Salvato really cuts to the core of like 4 stereotypes and like what it. Yeah. I don't think it says anything about the characters or women. I think it says more about the male weirdos playing them. Like who do you end up choosing? What does that say about you or whatever? Like. There's definitely a type of person, often a man, but of course there are women as well. Where what's her name, Natsuki, like they like that. I am not drawn to that personality at all. Like the second you try and push me over or be aggressive, I'm like, all right, that's fine. You are welcome to be that human being, not around me. No, thank you. Like that's not me at all. So of course that was like, and then eventually to platinum the game or to get the true ending, you have to choose that route. And it's like, you do see more of a side of that person of Natsuki than you're initially expecting. But yeah, definitely like, it's also funny because it's this litmus test of like, how bad of a friend are you? And I like to think I'm not a bad friend in real life, but in that video game, I was a terrible friend because with Sayori, I was like, all right, yeah, I hope you're okay.
Hope you're okay. I'm going to go with Yuri. We're going to hang out in my house. We're gonna be sucking each other's fingers and everything like that.
Aspect of like, there's something off about this game. So like, I'm gonna indulge in the horniness for a moment here and just play the game like I assume you play these games. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, because that's how I feel like you get the better ending. Turns out it was you pretty much get the same ending no matter what and everything. But it's but I was just not knowing that, just trying to be like, all right, well, how am I gonna get the weirdest foot drop? And so like I was like, okay, well. I feel like the game wants you to make one of these 3 choices, so I'm picking that. And I felt like the game did make it clear Sayori wasn't one of those choices, and I'm not a person that like goes and is insistent. Like if someone's like, yeah, it's okay, I'm just like, I'm not gonna be like, no, we're hanging out. So it's like, all right, yeah, you be you. And then it's like she kills herself and she's like, feel bad now, and I'm just like,
See, like I love. It's one of those games where when the farther you get into it retroactively makes everything you did prior to it so much better. So, because like once you get to the end, like at a certain point during the Yuri section, right, where like Yuri is going crazy for you and everything, at a certain point it becomes very obvious, or it should be obvious to you, that Monica is like everything's very wrong with her, and she's kind of pulling the strings in some way, shape, or form. And at that, once I had that realization, I was like, yo, like. She's been pulling strings from the very start of all this. Like it's crazy. So then when you get to the end and you're basically, she's like, yeah, no, I got rid of everyone. I deleted them all. no one else is here. It's just you and me. And
Did you
like,
sit in the screen where it's like you're just sitting in space for long? Because like that's one of the trophies you have to
yeah,
get. And
I
so like,
actually, I got the trophy for. It's like, hey, listen to her talk a lot. Listen to a
yeah,
lot of what she has to say. Like just sitting there and listening to her, I was just like, it was like that was legitimately terrifying. And like I was like, all right, there's a the way to get out of this is to quit, right? I looked it up. I was like, okay, cool. Just to be sure I don't like quit and have to sit through all this again. But like just sitting there and looking at her, I was just like, yo, this is fucking terrifying. Oh my God. And then just backtracking a bit, like the part where after Yuri kills herself, and then they make you sit there and look at her
yep.
all. And at first I was just pressing the X button on it, right? And then I was like, let me just like skip a bunch and skip, and it's just like, hey everybody, we're here again. Just like was hard cut to like, oh yeah, it's a
It's
Monday. It's like, oh, you were here all weekend long, man. Sorry about that. It's like,
it's crazy
what?
how the music specifically it plays real well with everything and how it cuts you to your core by the end. The way it's like almost mocking you, the way do 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 do, and you're just
Yeah,
like shut up.
right. It's like, oh, and like there was that one scene at the start of the second run where like the camera, the visual, like the art and like shifts ever so slightly at an angle, and then the music is slightly pitched a bit differently too. I
Yeah,
was like, wait, hold on, what? Now I was like, that looks different. I was like, oh my God, this game is playing mind tricks with me. It's crazy, and I loved it so much. And just like how Monica was like, no, I want to be with you. Like she's like, I know I'm in this game, and it sucks that like I am fated to not be with you. But I said, fuck that. I'm going to be with you because I want to be with you and just get rid of everyone and everything. And like you, in order to just fix it, you gotta just delete her entirely. Like this game just kept on like what I said it before. I kept on saying the entire time, what the fuck is happening? What the fuck is going on? And I'm this game legitimately blew me away in like so many ways I was not expecting it to. I wasn't expecting it to be as subversive and unique as it was. I knew it was going to be like different and weird, and
it's
I knew it was like slightly sinister, but I did not realize that it was. I was not expecting it
you
to
will
be as sinister and unique and weird and quirky and ominous and terrifying as it was. It's like this unsettling type of horror. It's not even psychological. It's just like you just feel uncomfortable going through this game at a certain
yeah.
point, and I just
I
loved it with a passion.
yeah, I it's fair to say you will not play another game like it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
because like you can love it, but you can't just go play other visual novels or, waifu simulators because that's not what they are. This is not a parody, but a weird introspective look at it and just a unique take on it that really takes an outsider's perspective. I don't think Salvato necessarily himself started out as some like lover of these types of games. It almost strikes me as like he realized this was a thing, was fascinated by it, played them to get an understanding, and was like, I've got an idea. And it takes that to get something this weird and unhinged and just beautiful. Like it is like just this
It is.
tire fire of a game where you just can't take your eyes away. And I'm so glad you liked it because I was like, this is going to be weird. If he's like, what is your problem? Why would you like this? Because I love this game.
I really did. Like just I I loved it. I started really liking it from the moment we got that twist from the start of the second run where it's like things are very different now. And I was really liking it, and that just grew and grew and grew to be like a strong love for this game by the time Monica revealed she's the one in charge and she's been like playing you. She's been aware of everything from the start. And just like listening to everything she's saying, she's like just reading everything she's saying for a while and stuff. And then when you go, I like when if you're stuck when you're sitting in the room, if you go to do the skip dialogue option, she's like, "Did you turn that on? I'll just turn that off." Yeah, you can't do
Yeah.
that anymore. Just like I can't turn it off again. Did you try to quit? Why would you do that? I didn't like that. And you do it a couple more times. She's just like, I've been like, she's eventually saying, yeah, like I'm in the wrong here, or so on and so forth. And just like how you said, like she's she's acknowledging. Just I don't know. It's tough to explain, but the meta-ness of the game really spoke to me.
It's
Just in just
it's
a really
the
great
adult
way.
version is the closest we'll ever get in modern day to the Psycho Mantis thing from Metal Gear Solid 1 where he
Oh
reads
my
your
god.
memory card.
When she said, "Oh yeah, your profile," she's like, "Yeah, I know you're not really here. You're a player. Your name is like," and she said my PSN. I was like, "What the hell is even happening right now?" Oh my god. I was like, "Don't even." I was like, if she pulls up a game name over here or like my trophy list or whatever, I was supposed to be like, "The fuck? This is crazy, Monica. You are nuts." If you ever thought this was going to get me to love you, it's making me very scared of you. I don't love you anymore. I never did, actually.
And that's kind of like the theme I think Salvato's hammering home is um like hopefully that some of the people, the types of people that play these games, the non-meta versions of these games understand is that like obsession is not cute, it's not okay, it's like unhealthy, it makes people deranged, which is ultimately what Monica is. It's like a self-insert for the lesson that the game is trying to give while also being like terrifying and just like it's so well done. And to pull it off, everything has to be written to a T. The imitation of everything has to be written to a T. Like it really takes someone understanding what they're doing and they nail it, man.
Yeah, like this game, if I played this game the year it came out, it would have been. I don't know when Literature Club Plus came out. Can you pull it up for
For
me?
PC, I don't know. Plus came out in 2021, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
The
sounds
year
about
Ratchet
right.
came out. Or no, was that last year? No. Yeah,
Ratchet was
2021. Yeah.
2021. Okay, so that year my goatees were,
Had it not been older, it would have been my GOTY. I felt like it
yeah,
didn't count, but
it would have been my, so like that year was Returnal, Life is Strange, True Colors, Ratchet and Clank, Kana, and something else that came out that year. I can't remember what the fifth one was. I
it
think
takes
maybe
two, Deathloop.
no, I think it was Persona 5 Strikers. If I played this game the year it came out, I can almost guarantee you Kana or Persona would have been knocked out off rip, because this game is such a good game. So freaking good. Like, even if you don't play visual novels, you never played a visual novel in your life before,
Yeah, I had
this is a very good game. Like, you will enjoy it if you are down for, if you're down for the triggering stuff, if you're down for a quirky game, like even us just explaining like how this game gets weird and unique,
it's
explaining it
still
and
worth
hearing
playing.
is
It is
like,
still
hearing
worth
it is
seeing.
one, exactly, hearing it is one thing, but experiencing it for yourself is very, very different. It's so different,
Yeah,
and
if
it
you
just
were like,
adds to the
I'm
experience.
if you listen because you're like, I'm never gonna play this, don't care about spoilers, and now you're interested, it's dirt cheap on PSN.
But actually, I think it's like $30.
The fit it's less than that. It's usually on sale for like $10
I
if you
I
wait it out.
The normal price is like $30. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
the physical edition's constantly on sale too. You can get yourself one of these bad boys. But yeah, it's 100% worth it. Like I promise you, even
Yes.
having the surprise spoiled, still gonna be nuts.
Yeah. It's one hell of a game. It's one hell of a game. One of the most unique games I have ever played, just ever. Period. I loved this game. So it's been a crazy playing that at the beginning, and then Hi-Fi Rush at the way opposite end of the craziness spectrum, but still like an absolute blast of a game to play. Yeah, great game.
That's just two damn good games back to back right there.
It really is. It really, really is. Oh man, I'm so happy I played this game. Happy we were able to have like this fun spoiler discussion about it. Because I was like, yeah, no. Once I played, I was like, this has to be a spoiler discussion about this game. There's no
Yeah,
way
because
it can't be.
I've never talked with anyone about this game really, because it's just like my girlfriend watched me play and was just like, this shit is wild. And the
Yeah.
first 30 minutes to an hour, she's just like looking at me like, what is going on here? And I'm like, it's not that, I promise. And blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, listen, don't judge me. This is when it gets weird, I'll tell you, and then you'll see. And then she was like, oh, so that happened. And I was like, yep, that just happened. And then she's just watching me try to get the platinum like at 4 a.m, like rewinding through because it's an annoying platinum. Like 90% of it is super easy, and then 10% is like a grind. But I got it. I was definitely in that mindset of like, fuck this, I'm getting the platinum for this game.
Yeah, no, my girlfriend, she had expressed interest in it like I think a year or so ago, because like she saw it in the store. She was like, huh, interesting. And at the time I was like, yeah, I've heard about it. I like, it's a bit like more to it than meets the eye and all like that, like Transformers and stuff. So this week when I started playing it, I was like, yeah, it's a good game. It's very interesting though, and I don't know if it's a game you should play. I'm gonna wait till I finish it to let you know, and I actually haven't told her about it since then. I don't know if it's a game she should play. Like I'm gonna mention like, hey, it touches on these subjects. I don't know if you should play it though, because yeah, like that, like it's the it's not that crazy disturbing for me, but like still, like
Yeah, it wasn't for me. It
seeing
was
like Sayori hanging and
my
like
mouth dropped the first time it happened. I'm not gonna lie to
right,
you.
like seeing her hanging or like seeing Yuri like not her cutting herself, but like seeing Yuri like stab herself the way she did. I was just like,
I
oh,
think
fuck.
I think the way the foot, I was expecting the foot to drop. I thought maybe she'd kill, like Sayori would kill you. I was like, maybe she's jealous or you know what I mean? That's right. So I'm thinking it'll get maybe crazy or potentially violent, but just not in that way. So like it definitely threw a curveball at me for where I was expecting it to go. So my mouth definitely, yeah, like I was like mouth agape, like what the fuck just happened? And then that immediate restart is just the timeliness
Exactly.
of
Just
understanding
like,
how that's going to just fuck with you is really good. It's just, man, what a game. That's all I can say. I truly believe it's a 10 out of 10 because I don't think for me, I don't think there's a better visual novel that exists. Like it, the way the themes, the way it handles it, the time, like doesn't disrespect your time. It's not too long. There's replay value in a sense, pretty fun platinum for the most part. Like it's a perfect version of itself. 10 out of 10 for me.
yeah, I could easily understand the argument. Like, I don't know if I'd say it's a 10 out of 10, but like, I'm not going to argue that it's not a 10 out of 10. I'm not going to argue that point because like, I love this game. It's just one hell of a game. All I could say. That's going to end this episode though.
Yeah.
End this episode, the Play With podcast. Going crazy over
Doki. Just talking about some great games right here.
Yes. Of course, that's it. Check out the site, playtowingames.wordpress.com, home for all of our content and all. Check out the Twitter and Instagram at Play2WinGame for updates on the show and other things that might be posted over there. Also, subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell so you know as soon as videos go live. Look out for my Hi-Fi Rush. See, this game name is going to keep throwing me because of High on Life, and I hate that with a passion. Hi-Fi Rush. Check out my Hi-Fi Rush review. It will definitely be up sometime within the coming days of this episode going live. So keep an eye out for that. Hit the notification bell. You know when it's up. You know when it's there. Of course, comment. Let us know down below what you thought of the Xbox Developer Direct. Let us know what you thought about everything. And if you are a Doki Doki Literature Club Plus fan and member. If you are,
yeah, I was about to say, if you're a card carrying member,
I'm not a card carrying member, but I might just join the club, might just make myself a card carrying member.
Tyler's like, you're just looking up Amazon. How much is it? It's like, I swear, Wario tweets about it all the time. It's like $12 for a physical copy.
Right. 5-star review on podcast services as well. And yeah, Tyler, again, remind the people, where can they find you?
Good Game We Lost, TikTok, Instagram Reels, or Instagram and Instagram. I post Reels. Don't. Yeah. Nobody uses it for pictures anymore. It's a video platform, damn it. And it's YouTube,
whatever platform Facebook wants it to be.
Good Game We Lost at all of those. I just posted my Hi-Fi Rush review, trying to get back in the content making grind here. So check it out. Keep an eye out for that. And yeah, been a blast. Fun episode.
Yep. Check out, I was about to say, check out me. Follow me over on Twitter at TylerMiller2496, where I've been tweeting about just, games, anime, anything I'm watching or playing. I'll tweet about it. Although I try to avoid the algorithm, so I don't tweet about it too much because the algorithm will be like, hey, here's something for you about it that you didn't want to see just yet. I'm just like, well, screw you. Thank you all so very much for watching and or listening, and we'll talk with you all next time. Have a great one.
Have a good one, everyone.